Why is it flipped like that? Oh, what the?
Oh, there we go.
Technical
Little man.
difficulties.
Hey, ladies.
Hey,
All right,
Shemeka.
so let's go
Hey.
ahead and get started. Everybody up in here.
Yeah.
This is our first little Soulwork Saturday. We're gonna be talking about that inner child energy. So, Shemeka, if y'all don't know, Shemeka is my cousin, and
Hi,
basically
Shemeka.
Hey, girl.
we had this conversation like on the phone. We were just talking about how lit our childhood was as far as like our creativity and all that kind of stuff. Like we literally would be at my grandma's house in the country, like it's nothing to do, but we had Apollo. What did we have, girl? We made our own Apollo. We had like the little spotlight.
We had a Jerry Springer.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah, it was,
My
like
thing
Tia
is, who's the one
Tamara,
running?
but we had something else.
It was probably Jazz.
Yes.
Running it.
And we had our own girl group. We were going to be the next TLC.
Yes, we were.
We had rehearsals.
The girl name group was Click, by the way. And we was just talking about all the time, like, if we had YouTube back in the day.
Would a band had something going on. Y'all would have been fired by now.
Exactly. And like we were just so like free spirited, creative, like we really believed in ourselves, and we were like, dang, like what happened? Like, and we did talk about how, adults, how school and a lot of things, it kind of like, yeah, it kind of kills your spirit. Like they tell you it's not possible. They tell you you have to be more talented. They tell you go get a real job. They tell you like all these different things. And so that's pretty much what we want to talk about today.
For sure. Yeah. So we just wanted to have a open conversation, a raw conversation, y'all, about how the shortest part of our lives, our childhood, comes to impact us and shape us to who we become for the rest of our life. And a lot of parents don't even realize that. So they say, like psychology, I don't know, Jasmine, somebody touch on this that actually paid attention in class. But they said the first 7 years, you know what I'm saying, is when a child's emotional development is put together, when their brain development, like all of the things that happen in the first 7 years of a child's life truly come to impact who they are for the rest of their life. And it's like that short amount of time. Can you think about when you was 5, 4, 3, things that you may have seen, went through, that really came and shaped not only how you think about yourself, but about others, etc. Like, and to Jasmine's point, like our conversation really got deep because it became like reminiscing about feeling so great about who we were back then. And the ideas we were coming up with and executing, you know what I'm saying? We didn't know that we were being producers and and the whole 9 yards, right? Songwriters, and where now, I'm 32 and Jasmine, you in your 30s, right?
I'm 30.
29, 30, just made it. It's like, now we're in this decade and it's like, dang, I find it hard for me. I feel Jasmine touched into this better, but I find it hard sometimes for me to even tap back into that creative side of myself. Like, to have the time, I think, to even do that. And so it was kind of like wanted to address. Yeah.
I don't think it's like not having the time, because that's part of it, but it's really just those thoughts of, I don't want to say defeat, but it's like you start thinking more critical of yourself now. When you were a kid, it was just like, I can do anything, I can be anything. Let me just, we literally we were like planning on being on 106 in Park. Like that's how real it was. We were like, this is
it was real.
Yeah, what's gonna happen? And I'm gonna meet Lil Bow Wow. We're gonna get married. Like it was like,
for real. It was a real thing.
I was like, I already knew in my head, like, you couldn't tell me different, that by the time I was 18, I was going to be on 106 in Park, TRL. Like, I was going to be, like, the little Bow Wow of females and shit. And, yeah, that didn't even remotely close to happen. Like, Jazz will tell you, I didn't really start expressing my true creativity. I didn't do it till I was 30. I released my album. Jazz was there when I did that. That was, like, I was 30 years old when I was, like, really... I did all the same stuff y'all did, but like by myself and with my cousins, obviously. But like, even when you're young, I didn't have the affirmation of adults to be like, yeah, oh my gosh, she has something. Look at her. She likes music. Let's tap into the skill. it's kind of
Right.
like I've had to kind of fight for my inner child, like pretty much up until now. So yeah, I feel
That's
that.
That is so real. I'm so glad you said that, Ashley. Like, and I think that we as adults, like me being a mom, I know Jasmine, she's a mom now. I don't know if you're a mom or not.
I'm not.
No.
I'm a dog mom.
Dog mom.
That works.
Where family at?
Hey,
Yeah.
they little broke roommates too.
Look, I told her she need to earn her keep, but we'll see.
It's okay. They are a bill.
Yeah.
But it's so important. Like, I feel like once you step into parent mode, like, or scratch that, not even being a parent, just in general, being in the lives of children, to understand how important it is, what you just said, being an adult that affirms them and their dreams and goals and making them believe that they can do that shit. Problem is that, you know, I didn't have enough goal sayers around me telling me, making me believe that I can do something. Sometimes it'll be a thing, you know, where we know a lot of parents will do this, where things that they're afraid of, they impose those fears on their kids, you know, instead of letting their child kind of figure out their own way, their own narrative, find their own damn fears, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's huge.
Yeah,
That's
it's
super
Shellsy.
huge.
Can you hear me, Shellsy?
We see you, but we can't hear you.
Y'all can't hear me? I'm
Dang.
sorry.
Oh, I can hear you now. Sorry.
Okay, so Shellsy, I just wanted you to talk.
But one thing I definitely do not understand. Well, I think I know from my experience as far as with my mom, she's trying to mold me. She has previously tried to mold me as some parents just to be who they were as the child. So when you try to impose different morals, beliefs, you just don't have that room for your child to create, you know, as far as like being their own, like you guys were saying. I sadly didn't have that privilege, but I did fight for it. But that's the thing, it shouldn't be that, like, as far as like knowing your identity, like the child should try to know themselves for themselves.
Right.
I think it's important for a child to explore what their interests are, and the parent to just simply go, yeah, that's good. Even if it's just like, for me, it's like I get to practice these things with like my niece and my nephew. So my nephew right now is into drawing and making beats. So I'm like, let me hear the beat. Let me see your drawing. And like, I know when I was young, little things like that, like showing my cousin my drawing and her telling me, yeah, oh my God, you're so good. Like, that gave me like, ooh, I'm about to tap the fuck in. Like, you know, and that's so important for these children. So like, that's kind of what I've been trying to practice, like, to affirm, because I don't think it's impossible to do it on your own, but it's not as fulfilling as it could be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's where I'm at with it, because I kind of grew up again without the affirmation, but I never stopped being creative. Even when I got older, like it just kind of was always my thing. So like, I guess that's kind of how I learned how to like affirm myself. I don't know though. I'm still exploring.
Which is huge. That's huge.
It is.
That's a huge lesson.
Like, and that's telling you that you are more self-aware. Like, you know what? I know what I like. I know what I want. And you're not going by just someone saying that you can be this, you can be that. Like, you have that decision for yourself to react on your passions.
Yeah.
For real.
Because I think a lot of adults now are in situations that they're unhappy in, where they don't actually get a chance to tap into their real interests. They kind of just were like, they told me go to school, go to college, get a job. Like, that's what I'm doing.
Survivalist.
Yeah. And, you know, like, we know now wholeheartedly that life is not about that. In this day and age, like, we truly have the power to create the lives that we want. And it would be, you know, when I was young, I actually had a beef with my parents. Like, I didn't even take like my SATs. Like, I didn't do none of that shit. They were just like, if you can finish high school, that's all we care about. Like, they didn't guide me nowhere. So I kind of had this, grudge. Like, damn, like, now I'm just out here trying to figure it out on my own. Like, at least tell me to go to college or some shit. They were like, we don't care. But now I'm hella grateful though about that, because I don't think I have the emotional capacity to deal with knowing I have college debt. I'm in a job that I absolutely hate just because y'all made me make a decision when I was 20 years old. You know, all this shit. I'm really thankful now that God guided me in this path, because, and that's why I have to tell my inner child now, it's like, okay, we're good though. Like we were kind of nervous right there for a second, but we're good. And now my life is set up to where it is, you could say, unstable. I don't know what the word is. I'm just like unhinged. I'm not attached to anything, which is beautiful, but I have the opportunity to explore. So that's kind of what inner child work is kind of taking your experience and then where you're at now and going, okay, that was fucked up, but here we are. How can we let me let you know that we're gonna be okay, is like kind of where I'm at with it. So that's like liberating and cool if however your perspective is on like that experience growing up.
Yeah, no, I agree. So have you guys ever heard of something called Stancoffa?
I think so.
It's like and I don't want, gosh, I wish I could pull it up, but I'm on the phone. But so it's like it's more like an African concept. It's basically like shadow work. So let's simplify it. It's like the shadow work we talking about, where you take the time to focus on a belief or a value that you have about yourself that may not necessarily be positive, right? And then you actually do the legwork to go back to see, where did that belief come from? Like, at what point did that become a thing for you? At what point did you think you were ugly? At what point did you think you were fat? At what point did you start being a people pleaser? Shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And actually taking the time to, for real, go back. Literally, it's going to be going back to your childhood. Because that's the thing. Most of this shit started when we was kids. Like, something set a switch. You know what I'm saying? Something made the path for us to believe and be that way, etc. You know? And so it's about going back into whatever that thought is, and then actually taking the time, meditate, whatever, you journaling all this out. So you taking the time to actually go back and think back, at what point, what was the first time when I felt like I had to have control, and if I didn't have control, I was going to cry. I was going to throw a temper tantrum, you know, whatever, right? And now, because now you're a very controlling person type thing. And then not only going back to see at what point did that start, but now you have to address who you were then. Because you need to heal that person so that the who you are now can be the healed you. Does that make sense? So whatever those feelings were, whatever that event was that transpired, like actually the reason you're meditating is so you can be focused and you taking the time to actually go back into those emotions. Like, let all that come back to you. And then now respond the appropriate way to it. Whether that be you dismissing it and saying, thank you for that experience, but no, I don't believe that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And actually like changing the tide there. And then that way you can make more of a conscious effort, if you will, of changing that narrative for yourself, changing that mindset, that thought process. Yeah. So that's 100%. That's inner child work. That's shadow work. That's Stancoffa. That's the healing that all our people need.
And that's what we're talking about in here. Somebody in the comments said
it's the healing that we all need to do, for real. And that don't have to be done by a therapist. That can be done by you getting a journal, getting a piece of paper, and really getting into your own shit. And that's real. Like, I feel like as we're getting older, we're now, to your point, or somebody said this, I'm sorry, about us just being distracted now. You know, now that we're adults, we're distracted by a lot of things. Whereas kids, we have more time for that creative side to just play out and live out his best life. But I feel like, as adults, we get more distracted now, so I want to correct myself where I said, I feel like I don't have the time. That's what I meant. I mean, like, I let adulting get in the way of the real work, and that's like that self-development, working on the higher self, right? Like working on the purpose for why you're here, the real you inside, because we are just energy taking over these vessels that are human bodies. You know what I'm saying? And when you come to really understand that, yo, I'm here for a purpose. I'm here to having a human experience. What about the human experience that I want to have? Like, that's kind of what you're addressing, you know? And I just feel like it's not enough of us feeling like we have the time to really dig deep down inside ourselves and do exactly what we're talking about right now. And that's, baby, go back to when you was 3, okay? And your mama popped you because you wanted that lollipop.
Now you
And
don't
now
ask for
all of
nothing.
a
Now
now
every
you don't
time
like
you
sweets.
look at a lollipop, you're triggered.
Like
Right.
you triggered to that point, like I don't even want a lollipop no more. Like,
I don't even want no lollipop. For
It's like I
real
shouldn't want
though.
anything nice. I don't trust myself anymore. All that.
Nope, all that.
but no, that makes sense. Like you were saying, like we had to literally put in the work, and of course, of us being adults, us having like things going on with our jobs, our careers, and whatnot. We literally have to put aside time to actually do the work instead of just wallowing and like, oh, this is me, this is how this will be for the rest of my life. Like, no, we just can't live like that. So I completely understand with that because you literally have to take the time, whether if it's 10 minutes before bedtime or during your lunchtime, you just got to find those pickpockets and just literally like put in your whole self into that.
Yeah.
I think
real.
like as we learn deeper about just like healing work, and I mean all these key words, these buzzwords like shadow work, inner child work, like every day we're evolving, knowing more. And I think like the more you know, the more conscious and focused your healing work gets. Like you'll get more serious, so that when you feel like possibly you don't have the time, you go, okay, I'm not just gonna journal today like some about my day. Let me do a writing exercise. Let me go.
Right.
Let me say, man, that one time I stole a lollipop. You know, let me talk to that situation. How would I talk to this situation? And you can just do a bunch of different things like that. So that way, when you don't have maybe, you know, a lot of us don't have this luxury of taking a week off to go to
A retreat
Guatemala on a retreat and like to do all this shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's, you know, we gonna make that happen, but like, you know, just doing the best, maximizing our resources is what I'm all about. Like using what little bit you got and just like making it fruitful for you and being more focused about it. Or even doing stuff like this. Doing stuff like this is like perfect because we all get a chance to like, how you say, like, flesh it out. I think that's the saying. So, yeah, like.
It's like a release. That's the thing, is that you have to release in order for things of that nature, of course, of your inner child to work in itself, because you have to release it first before anything else fills it up, because you're just holding that in, and the more you hold it in, the more it's going to continue to affect yourself, affect your relationships, reflect on anything that you encounter.
Yeah, it'll affect, I feel like I'm learning now, it affects everything when you don't deal with that inner child. Like, every single thing is affected. Like everybody wants to do, you know, be an entrepreneur now, and that's great. But like, you know, in order to really see the success that you want to have, like sustaining success, you absolutely have to do that inner child work, because otherwise you're going to get successful and you're going to be like, you're not going to be able to even, enjoy it. You're gonna be all fucked off because your inner child is scared like a motherfucker. So important.
That's real. That's real talk.
That's kind of low key what I'm going through right now. So that's why I can speak on it, because that's why it's so important for me to do this inner child work, because I've been trying to create a business for a long time now, and when I really look at what's going on, I'm like, girl, if you were successful right now, you would absolutely combust into a million pieces, because you are not ready for the level that I know I could take my business and my talents. So this shit is like very crucial, not only to me, but just to the world, so that we can all be our best selves, I think.
Exactly.
And I feel like self-development, or personal development, right? That's the ongoing thing. Like throughout this lifetime, we gonna always be learning. Learning never stops. Learning about yourself, learning about this world, learn about this fucked up society, you know, or whatever. Like
it's a real
journey. It never stops.
Never.
Yes, it's a journey. And I feel like, I think because someone asked a question in the chat, how do people even recognize that they need to self-reflect? The comment I was going to make about doing inner child work, number one, I actually touched on it. Everybody need to do it. It's not a means of it's all of us are a product of our environment and our childhoods, and nobody had a perfect childhood, and nobody has a perfect environment. You know what I'm saying? So it's number one, recognizing, we all in the same boat. We all got problems. I'm a firm believer everybody got mental health problems, because we all a product of the same
They're the
You know what I'm
same.
saying? We're not different. It might show up differently for
Right.
different people.
Yeah.
But for real, we all, something is off, quote unquote, you know, with everybody or whatever. But that, whatever your normal is, that's relative. But my point is, I feel like recognizing, number one, that everyone needs to self-reflect. Everybody needs to do inner childhood work. What happens is you start to become more conscious about when you're displaying a certain behavior or an emotion, and you're like, wait a minute, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Yes, you know what I'm saying? That's the part. Like, that's the switch. That's when you know, oh shit, I'm healing. Like, I'm actually more aware.
That's so damn.
I'm more aware of myself. I'm aware. I'm catching the attitude, and I'm actually aware
That I got an attitude. Ain't right.
And I know where the attitude came from, and I need to stop.
Yeah.
For real, you know? So, I don't know. I don't know if anybody else have a comment on answering her question. How do people recognize that they need to self-reflect?
How do people recognize they need to self-reflect? I think a big one is just, you know, I think before we all felt like happiness was this, you know, it almost, I feel like we all reach a point where happiness seems like such a fake concept, I think we are so unfulfilled that happiness seems that way. I think the moment we recognize that we're not as grateful and happy as we could be, that's the clear indication that you need to address some things. And I think we live in a society, I mean, you walk down the street, everybody's fucking moping, everybody's honking at each other, everybody's disregarding, you know, everybody acts like it's just, they just in their own head, it's their own world is collapsing, it looks like. And I understand people are going through some hard times, but the hard times, I don't know, like, it's a great time to exercise the things that you're learning in this healing process, and to give trust to God that it can change. But that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, like, I feel like it's a lot.
No, I agree. Can I ask a question of everybody? Will everybody feel comfortable sharing one thing that you know you need to work on with your inner child, with the group, with our audience here?
I will say,
or one thing you're working on, or whatever.
Well, as far as me is, when I get upset, when I know somebody hit a trigger, I go straight to anger mode. Like, I want to like hit somebody right then and there. I go off, and I was like, why do I become so angry? Because that's not me. If people who know me, like Jazz, she knows I'm not the type to just, you know, go off at the mouth and want to like go off and hit on everybody. That's just not me. So I was like, okay, where did this come from? And the one time, I will say this here, because I've explained it several times before with smaller groups, but when I wanted to point out where a certain family member in my life felt, I guess, wanted to like put me in my place, all I said was like a comment. That's all I said. I basically got like hit. I got like backhand for that. I got backhand in the mouth for just pointing out a certain comment. And ever since then, I guess when some people come at me, then I just want to go off, because at that point in time, I couldn't go off. I mean, of course, when you be taught a certain thing, you're supposed to respect your elders. That's why I kept getting taught, like, respect your elders, supposed to do this, supposed to do that. Don't question people. Don't question your parents. Don't question people who are older than you, because they know better than you. And that was a certain trigger that came on when, you know, I had a confrontation with someone. I just basically want to go off instead of just basically pulling them aside and talking about it. So now I'm at that point. It's like, okay, Shellsy, breathe. That's one thing. Is breathe. Because when that happens, I don't breathe. I don't reflect. Okay, Shellsy, what do you do in this instance? Do not go back and don't revert back, but think before you react. So that's one of the key things I'm definitely learning, and I'm not going off at the mouth anymore, thank goodness. But I basically breathe and I ask questions instead of just, you know, go back to yelling. So that's one thing that I'm clearly going through as of right now, and I'm thankful that that trigger happened lately, because I didn't even know that was still in me. Because sometimes you just don't know until something's talking, you don't know why.
Yeah. It's, I mean, you said it, like you said, you never had the opportunity to speak your truth, and somebody actually, you know, unfortunately physically let you know that that wasn't okay. So that makes sense why that would be a trigger, and why you may have you may seem a little more combative about getting your truths out. I mean, because that's how you were socialized. Like, it's not your fault. Like, but the awareness piece is huge. So you got this, dog.
Listen, because some people want to come at me still, and I'm like, free Shellsy.
If I wasn't working on myself,
Yeah. Or I always tell people, look, God working on me. We're working progress.
Always.
Jazz, what about you?
So for me, it'll definitely be the perfectionism piece, like thinking like, it's kind of like second guessing yourself. Like, everything has to be super perfect before you say it, before you try it, before you do it. And if you make a mistake, or if it doesn't turn out like you want, it's like I completely shut down. Like, I completely give up. And you know what I'm saying? Even if it's at work, like if somebody, you hear him, if somebody gives you like some kind of like criticism or anything like that, like constructive criticism, it's like, oh, I suck at this, I'm done. You know, that's how I feel. And I think it came from the whole making straight A's, being on honor roll all the time.
Oh,
when you were showing up and making like all A's and honor roll and stuff, did your parents like affirm you, or was it like they were just always like, okay, good? Or were they like,
it was like, it was
it's all about the response. Yeah,
it was expected. You know, it's like you're supposed to. I mean, obviously that's you. That's who you are. You're supposed to get all A's. If you get a B, that's terrible.
Okay.
Like that kind of thing. So
I see.
Right.
Yeah, that's
No, I hear that. Yeah, that's a deep one.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say one of mine is arguing. So I had a tendency, past tense. I had a tendency to get loud when, like, I feel that I needed to like elevate and project my voice when I'm arguing with someone, or probably a significant other, whatever. And I kind of had to like take a step back. I mean, outside of all the bad things that come with that, right, and what that can lead to, I had to take a step back and like, where the hell did I learn that to argue with somebody is to holler and yell and scream? And so I did. I had to like really revisit little Shemeka with the bang, you know, and the ponytail, like
the bang,
the bang, yeah, like. And I realized, like, because I grew up seeing my parents, you know what I'm saying, argue, or my dad yelling or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was almost like I internalized that to mean, oh, the way you get your point across and you get, hey, I won, I gotta yell, I gotta scream, you know, and then my voice hoarse, you know, like, no, that's not cute, you know? And so for real, this is a real thing. I know, you know, probably people are like, oh, that's small, but no, like, I really had to like come to grips with like, no, you improperly learned this and weren't actually taught, like, no, this isn't how you argue with people. This isn't how you debate or how you sit down and discuss something that you don't agree on. Like, there's a more proper, healthier way to do that. And I'm still at 32, you know what I'm saying? Like, trying to navigate how to do that, how to even properly articulate my thoughts without the elevation of the voice, because obviously that carries so much other stuff as far as disrespect and, you know what I mean? Like, and so, yeah, so that's just one thing off the top of my dome, without going too personal, that I know for sure, like, that I'm working on, and that, yeah, I know that came from, like, little me learning that, you know, just indirectly seeing stuff. So, that's deep.
I feel that. What was the question? I'm sorry.
It was share one. She's like, wait a minute, what we saying again? I did a good job.
I kind of feel like we are. I know, but I need a reaffirmation.
No, yeah. It was just, if there was one thing about your inner child that you're working on, that you're healing, that you want to share, like, with everybody watching and with us.
Like, the first thing that comes to mind for me is just shame, and it actually goes so far, but like more so like just giving my inner child the grace to just exist as weirdly as she wants to. Because that trickles now to when I feel like I'm different. I'm getting better, but when I feel different or I'm feeling a little like shy about what I'm doing, or I'm just
Do you like
simply
contract?
existing, yeah, like simply just existing as I am, I feel like I feel this shame about it when it's not shameful. But I didn't have that grace as a child. Actually, it was just kind of like, it was either like weaponized or just disregarded, period. So I felt like, well, maybe if I tried this, I would get more affirmation, and everything I ever tried just never got what I was looking for. So I'm still trying to let her know, like, to just be is beautiful and powerful, and probably the most inspiring thing I can actually do for others. You know, like, I can't heal nobody, but I can inspire them. So that's kind of like where I'm at with my inner child. It's just learning to exist peacefully. And whatever is inside of me, God gave it to me for a reason. So I need to like let it out. So, and I also have anger issues. Like, I have very bad anger issues. That shame turns into defense real quick. Like, if I feel like you judging me,
Understand it.
yeah. If I feel like
I
you
feel
judging
you.
me, yeah. Like, but that's just all a product of something else. Like the anger, like my anger in those situations, it's the shame. But the shame is like, okay, go on defense, and now you got to tell somebody about themselves or whatever the case may be. So I'm trying not to do that either. Like, I'm trying to be I'm a nice person. I want to stay a nice person. So
Right.
that's why I'm
But
at.
these people keep taking me off my path. No,
Yeah, exactly.
They keep shoving you.
Yeah, for real.
No, but what
no,
Ashley
that's
said about like
Nah, we
just
ain't falling
being
for that.
yourself, I feel like we all need to definitely work on that. And that's like really like the whole reason for this whole inner child live. You know, that's kind of how it all started. That's what we were talking about. You know, it's like, when did we let who we truly are like just be crushed or be silenced or be disregarded? You know what I'm saying? And so like with the inner child work that we are doing, you know, hopefully we can encourage other people to, you know, be their full selves too. And whatever that's going to look like I think it's going to be incredible. You know, I don't know. It's going to look different in everybody's life, you know, because everybody was born with like a different vision, a different goal, different natural abilities. Being loud.
wow.
That's how my
But
inner
like,
child sounds.
He was the green.
Yeah.
That was his amen.
that's
Yeah.
it. And it's so sad because I ain't gonna lie, I do sometimes have those moments where I'm like, I wonder who I'll be right now if certain situations been me. Like, would I be fully living my true self, living my true like inner child, like literally like expanding and just being this whole self without no regrets, like no, just living unapologetically. Like, how would that look for me if there's certain things didn't happen? But you know what? I believe without certain things, like how are we gonna grow? So so I look at this as a growth opportunity, endurance, persistence, and literally just like, because that's just the world in itself. It really try to tackle you, really try to bring you down. It's just how you react to it in order to bring you back up.
Perspective.
Yeah. Like looking at regret as divinity, because you don't want to say, oh,
right.
I regret this, because like you said, it shaped you into who you are now, and it brought you to this moment where you're like, okay, who do I want to be? And that's literally the moment that it's crucial for us to hit in our lives, like for us to hit that moment. So yeah, that's important. It's important to hit that moment.
Oh, I wanted to say something too. I think it was earlier when you were talking, Ashley, like when it comes to doing this work, like there is no cookie cutter way to do it. Like, I know earlier I said journaling with Stancoffa, but you could voice record. Like, I actually don't even like to journal because my hand be hurting. Like, look, I ain't got it like I used to when I was 10. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I'll just voice record my thoughts.
Me too.
And you still get the same impact. You're still able to go listen to it, review it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just that the work, the process, it doesn't all look the same. I think it's just a means of being aware that is something that you want to try to focus on because nobody else can do it for you but you, and recognizing just how much of a healed person, how much more you will get closer to your purpose for why you are here once you've dealt with that shit. Because that was like that's baggage that we carrying, that we need to unpack. You know what I'm saying? And just being aware that you need to do it.
Taking
and in your
up
own
all
way.
that room. Yeah, all that stuff that you don't release, it just takes up all that room to like. It just takes up all the room for you to receive the downloads that you need to truly heal. Like, but if you just holding on, like Erykah Badu say, "Bag lady," like. You know the song, but like she's talking about,
you
gotta
let release those things, baby. You need to release those things.
Don't get us started now.
Play it. No, okay.
I know, right? Jasmine, you supposed to be the DJ. What's up?
I had music playing at first, and then Ashlee came and like started smacking the MacBook, and so now it's like noise, and so it's. I had a playlist. Don't worry, I had a playlist.
You gotta stop hating, Ashlee.
I think he was trying to turn it up. That's what it was, but he pushed all the.
He was feeling it. He was feeling it, but he got upset. That's all.
He didn't recognize,
But I mean, music is a big thing too. Like listening to music from your childhood and like watching movies from your childhood, that brings back so many memories. It really does help with the healing too. Millennium Tour,
Hey.
Oh yeah.
But no, that's so true because memories are attached to our senses. Our memories are attached to our senses. Certain smells, sounds, you know what I'm saying? Like, will bring back a memory for you. So, heck yeah. Like, I was low-key going to eat some ravioli before getting out here because that was all I used to eat.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly. Yes. For real.
No, but I mean, let's close it out as far as like giving the people that are either watching on live or that will watch, the recording, just something like some kind of encouragement or something to think about on their journey. But what do you think about that? You said what?
One thing is grace. Give yourself grace because this is not a rat race. Literally give yourself grace when it comes to your healing, when it comes to working on yourself, because it's not going to be picture perfect. Sometimes you'll have days when you're down. Sometimes you have days when you're happy. Just give yourself grace and continue just to keep going. So that's my thing. I'm learning that for myself. Grace.
I want to say I'm a firm believer that we all have innate God-given superpowers. Quote unquote magic. It's just some people have tapped into them, some people have not. Some people don't want to tap into them because they're scared because we've been taught to fear those things, whatever they may look like. So my comment will just be to really take it upon yourself to focus on healing yourself and healing others, because I know, Ashlee, you said earlier, well, I can't heal nobody, and I don't believe that's true. I believe that you can. I believe through the inspiration, through the connection, through the just even you telling your own story, like all those are pieces of healing for people. And the minute that we recognize that, we are all a collective that been through some shit, we all going through some shit, like we just said, now we're in a weird time where, COVID has taken over, and for whatever reason, different people are going through their own different things. And so it appears like there's so much like agony and sadness and despair and loneliness, I think is probably what we're seeing more of, right? With COVID and people not being able to interact. Yeah, so I just
COVID, everybody was looking towards everything else to heal them.
Doing everything. Exactly. And now COVID, people then came homebodies. People start getting divorced. There's a lot going on. So yes, I would just give the advice to say, focus on healing yourself in whatever way that looks like for you. As we've already said, there is no one way to get it done. It's just a means of knowing that, hey, this is a job that I'm tasked to do while I'm here, is look at shit that I've been through that I want to unpack, baggage that I want to unpack and let go, my bad. And then not only that, but also extend that olive branch to those in your circle, in your networks, and be a healer for your friends and for your family, etc. So.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I would say for me, one thing that I'm learning is just to come at just get to a point where you're at peace with your story. However, you like we talked about, like everybody's way is different. So, but all of us, we think the grass is greener on the other side a lot of times. Like, oh, maybe if I had this, or maybe if I had that. When those people that have those things, they probably are thinking the same thing on some level. So I think it's really just coming to terms with your experiences as a child, or you just as a teenager growing up, and once you can get at peace with that, then I think you can get to the real you could show up as this healed person. Because I think, like, even we talked about DMX in this chat, I think that's such a huge part of what's happening with him right now. Is like, he's clearly been doing the work for many years, but sometimes some of these children are so deeply affected, and this is a manifestation of that. This man is fighting for his life, and he talks about the stuff that happened to him since he was before even a teenager that's still affecting him as a 50-year-old man.
Wow.
So
Right.
that is like the realest shit ever. Like, you know, I'm just praying for him, but I'm praying for everybody. Like, but you know, let's change the narrative when we start having children and stuff. Like, it's just giving them love. That's it. Real simple.
Yeah, love for real. That's the thing is, because showing love and accountability, because you cannot do lives, like, literally, you can't do life by yourself. And I've learned that for myself. There's isolation at some points where it's okay to isolate yourself from certain things, but you can't completely cut yourself off from the world. Because there's literally people who really want to be there and love upon you and support you throughout whatever you're going through. And you just got to let those certain portals in because, you know, I mean, of course, I just believe iron sharpens iron. Like, we clean cut each other.
Definitely. 100% agree. That's why I think these COVID times are hard. Like, in isolation, like that's when all the demons and shit really want to come play with you, because you just in isolation. Like, I've been learning that more so the past couple of weeks, because I've been in my feelings and I couldn't rise up out of it. But I've also have been in the house by myself for like a week straight, just literally me and my dog. So I'm like, you know what? I start tapping into friends and family, and like, I'm those lies that I was telling myself, they seem stupid and far-fetched now that I realize that love is very present in my life, support is very present in my life. So just gratitude, like extending gratitude for the support, the resources you have to heal that inner child work. Or that inner child. Yeah.
Good. This is all good. Thank you, y'all. This was good. This was good.
This was really good.
Yeah, so thank y'all all for joining. We definitely gonna do this again, different topics. And yeah, I just want to leave off just basically everybody that's watching, just really think back, like how me and Shemeka was talking about like our childhood, like us with the, you know, really thinking we was going to be on 106 and Park. You know, I actually really thought she was going to, you know, like think back to what that was for you. You know what I'm saying? And like, what was it that killed it, and why are you still allowing it to, you know, still stop you to this day? Like, that was something that maybe something was said to you in your childhood, something was done to you. Like, why are you still allowing it to, you know, stop you, to hinder you, to really have that strong hold on you? And that can be the start of your inner child work. So tap back into that inner child energy, y'all. So what's that?
I pulled a card, and this is what it was. Affirm. Create your own affirmations. Think of words or phrases that inspire you and write them down. So this is our card for this group. Everybody.
Love it.
Get to work.
Love it.
All right, thank y'all.
That's so amazing. I love cards like that.
Yeah. This was awesome, ladies. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. Thank y'all for joining.
Of course.
Thank y'all.
Till next time.
Yes. Nice chatting with y'all. Yeah, much love. Yeah. All right, guys.